Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
Hey guys, it's Sue from 1A Auto, and today I'm going to be doing rear brakes on a 2011 Ford F-150. If you need these parts for your car or any other parts, click on the link below and head on over to 1AAuto.com. First thing we're going to do is remove the tire. I've got the weight of the vehicle slightly on the tire to give pressure so I can loosen the lug nuts. It's a 21mm socket. Now I'm going to raise and support the vehicle with a 2-post lift. You can use a jack and jack stands at home. Before I take this lug nut completely off, I want to see if I can get this tire off or if it's frozen on the hub. Nah, it's pretty on there, so good thing I checked, so now I'm going to leave that on. And I'm going to get a 4-pound hammer and I'm going to hit it from the back and see if I can break this free. So once you've used a hammer and hit it on the tire part, not the rim, just kept working it, we got it free. So now I can take the tire off. First thing I'm going to do before I remove the caliper is I'm going to take the boot cover off and spray this bleeder screw down so that hopefully it doesn't break when we break it open to push the piston back. Just going to spray that down and hope it soaks in there. Let it sit for a little bit. So the bleeder screw is a 10mm wrench or socket, and I'm going to see if I sprayed it and let it sit long enough. Hopefully it doesn't break off. Oh, we got it open. All right. We opened the bleeder screw for a reason, to make sure it breaks open, because we're going to end up opening it and pushing the piston back to bottom out the piston, because you never want to push the piston back with a bleeder screw closed on an ABS system. It can cause damage in the ABS module. So now we're going to dismount the caliper, and the caliper slider bolts are 10mm. On Fords, it's not uncommon to see this top rubber balancer in a sense. It's like a shutter balancer. It stops the caliper from shuttering during hard braking. It's just something Ford's done for years. So unfortunately you're going to have to use a wrench on the top, and you can use a socket or a boxed end wrench on the bottom. So 10mm, I'm going to break that free. So we'll take the bottom bolt all the way out. You can't take the top bolt completely out because of the leaf spring and the rubber bushing that's on the end, but you can take that out once you've pried the caliper up and off the bracket, which we'll do. Let's get that bolt out of the way. And you're going to pry the caliper from the top and pry it out. There's a pressure spring on the pad on the side. You can push it down if you need to. And the thing about these pads on this Ford is that there's a clip on the inner pad into the caliper piston. So you can't just pry. Most of the time the pad is stuck in the bracket after some age of being in there for a while. So I'll just take a little hammer and my pry bar and break that lip free, that little claw. That way now we can easily pry the caliper up. There we go. All right, now you can see the pad and the situation that was just forming. So now I can take this out. So see how the top pads have this slot on the bottom, and the bottoms have the groove, so it sits down in like a fork, and then you have to put the top down. So the bottom goes in first, and the top slides on. That's how we're going to install it also. So now I could take a hammer and take the pads off. The inner one will come right out. Those are the fingers that I was talking about that sit inside the piston. You're going to need to take a hammer to the outer one to break these butterfly fingers off. And we can take the inner pad out. And then we have our caliper. I'm gonna set this aside for now. We'll take the rotor off. I'm gonna spray the rotor where it meets the hub. Hopefully I can break that rust line free with some penetrating spray. I'm gonna take a hammer and hit the hub, the hat part of the rotor. There we go. Now I can work it back and forth. Sometimes you have to go back there and break the parking brake shoes. You're gonna have to unadjust them. But this, I think, I'm not gonna need to. There's your rotor, and this is where the parking brake shoes ride on the inside of that hat. Pretty rusted. These are the parking brake shoes. So now I've got my caliper piston tool. This expands, pushes the piston inside the caliper. And I'm just gonna snug it. I'm not gonna push back on it. And I'm gonna take my 10mm wrench and I can open that bleeder screw and put it down in aim it towards my catch bucket. There we go. And now I can ratchet this piston back safely without putting any fluid in reverse flow where I can cause internal damage of my ABS module. I know in the old days we used to do brakes, you could just push the piston back with no problem, but you didn't have an ABS module in line. Now I'm going to snug that up so it doesn't make a mess. Take my ratchet off. And there's your piston sitting all the way back. Now we'll look for any damage on that dust seal, inner seal. See no fluid coming out. Everything looks good. Sliders are not frozen. So we'll take care of those with some fresh caliper grease inside there. We can set this aside now. When we did a rear brake job on this truck, the driver's side, bleeder screw was frozen in the vehicle and it snapped off flush with the caliper. This does happen, it's not uncommon. When this happens, we replace calipers, and I do personally, because this is such a lightweight and the materials are so thin, you try to easy that out or drill it out, you're gonna get some of that drill material internally inside that piston. It's not worth the time and the effort. Just go buy yourself a new caliper, start from scratch. And like usual, and always, I like to do things in a pair. So if I have a brand new caliper on this side, I'm gonna get one for the other side. It's equal pressure for hydraulic for equal braking. You don't know if this, on the other side, if this piston is just starting to wear down or the seal is weak, you're not gonna have accurate hydraulic pressure on braking. So I strongly recommend 2 calipers, even if only one needs to be replaced. Here we have our new rear brakes for 2011 Ford F-150 from 1A Auto. We've got the brake pads in the rotor. The rotor has got the thick hat for where the e-brake shoes ride. It's got a beautiful cross pattern cut, machine cut. This is the rotor that we took off. It is still a factory rotor. Factory brake pads. They're identical to the replacements. They do the cut down so the heat in the brake dust doesn't build up. The cool slice keeps it from overheating. The rotors in the hat are the same size. It's got the inverted cut. That's also a cooling mechanism. So if you need these parts or any other parts for your car, click on the link below and head on over to 1aauto.com. Before I put the new rotor on, I'm going to clean the hub surface just where I think I see rust spots. Give it a little quick spray down. Before I install the rotor, I'm going to take off the caliper slider tins and clean them up. Now I got new hardware. I got these new tins, so I don't need to clean those up. I just need to take them off and clean the surface underneath. So I'm going to take a wire brush, clean up any rust. You can see how high it kind of swelled underneath, caused a little improper wear, top and bottom. You can use sandpaper, sanding block. If you've got a air system, you can use your little whizzer wheel. Just gonna clean it. Before I put the rotor on, I'm gonna put a little anti-seize right on where the hub meets the hat, where water will get in there and cause a rust lip. We don't want that. Before I put it on the correct way, I'm gonna partially put it on like that. I'm gonna take my cleaner and I'm gonna clean the shipping oils off inside the hat and on the rotor surface. Now it's in the clear, we're just going to install the rotor. Now I'm going to clean the outside surface. I'm going to install a lug nut or two. Give this a nice flat surface before I install the caliper. By doing this, I'm just flattening the rotor out, making sure that it's secured against the actual hub and seated. So I can also adjust my e-brakes shoes once I get that to that point. So here we have our new caliper bracket hardware. I'm going to put some caliper grease on the surface where it meets, so that way hopefully it will stop any rust buildup. How this is installed is it's kind of got little pinch bolts on it. So I'm going to take a hammer and tap it down. Kind of go back and forth till it's 100% down. So these are the pinch bolts that I'm talking about. They're on both sides. And the pressure clips. Do the same to the top. So here we have our new caliper. The inner pad has to go in first. It's got those 3 spring fingers. They fit right inside the piston cup like that. And just a firm push. And then the outer pad is going to go on. These both go on before you put the caliper on. And you've got the 2 guides right there and that spring clip. So you're just going to push down on it. And there you go. I'm going to push the sliders out as far as I can. Go to line this up. Remember, we've got the bottom one that goes in first. So once you have the caliper in the bottom groove, don't forget to put the caliper slider or pin in. Just put that in prior. So much fun. Okay, and then you're going to make sure that pin is all the way pulled back. And you can push down the caliper right into place. Use a little hammer or rubber mallet just to tap it. Make sure everything looks lined up. So the caliper comes with new bolts. It did come with 2 of this style new bolts, but I wanted to make sure I put that balancer back on the top. Ford, I'm sure, knows better, so it's usable. It's not broken, so I'm going to reuse it. Before I tighten it down, I'm just getting it, make sure it's threaded in place. And then I'm going to thread this one in place. I have not dismounted the old caliper yet. And that's because it's just easier to get this one all nice in place. Then I can transfer the flex hose right over and not make a mess. Or minimal mess, shall I say. So I'm just gonna snug that down, make sure it's tight. Same with the bottom. So now I'm gonna take the shipment plug and the new copper washers that come with the caliper. I'm gonna take these out because I'm gonna use them right away on the bolt and install that into the flex hose. Now when it comes to taking the flex hose off the caliper, I have not loosened that. I didn't loosen that prior when it sat inside the bracket. It's just an old bad habit. So I suggest if you have it in the bracket prior to and you know you're going to change the caliper, break that flex hose bolt off prior, because when it's floating like this you can't do it by hand. You need an air tool or electric tool. So pardon me, but I'm going to use an electric 3/8 gun, 50mm socket. I'm going to break that free. Make sure I got my catch pan down below. Now you'll see the banjo bolt, and looks like the copper washer is not on there. Let's look, there it is on the flex hose. That cannot be reused. We've got to get it off there. Sometimes I use the old bolt and I'll just put it in just a little bit and pry it. Sometimes it knocks it off. If not, then we have to get a flathead screwdriver. Oh, there we go, so I popped it off. So it gets pressed in there. That's the whole point. It gets like compressed in there. So that's why they give you 2 new washers. So I have my banjo bolt, my new copper washer, put it in. So I'm going to put the bolt through and then put the other copper washer on that side. And then thread it in. See how I've got the flex hose coming directly between the 2 bolts, and that stopper on the caliper is right there. Okay, now it's bottomed out. Now you're going to crush those copper washers. That's the point of them. Notice how I have just a tension on it. I'm feeling it. I know it bottomed out. There we go. That's where I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to clean that and check for any drips. Now that the brakes are back together, I'm going to pump up the brake pedal. Once I feel like I've got a firm pedal, I can check my brake fluid, remove my cover, and I can check the line on the side. It's just a little low, so I'm going to top it off. We're using the manufacturer's DOT.3 recommendation fluid, and that is on the cover, right down there. Snug it up. Now with the new calipers on, I've pumped the brakes up, checked my fluid. I'm going to take the cover bolt off of the bleeder screw. I'm going to reuse that and use a 10mm wrench, and I'm going to open the bleeder screw and let it gravity bleed out. If you have the tool, you can do a one-person bleed, or if you have someone with you and you know how to bleed brakes, you can do that this time. It took about 5-7 minutes, and I finally started getting a steady drip. Some air came out, and now it's pretty much done. Nice steady drip of clean fluid. So I'm going to tighten this up, move to the other side, do the same thing. Once a steady stream comes out of dripping with no air, I'm going to close the bleeder screw up. Make sure it's snug. Put the cover back on and clean it down with parts or brake spray. So I put the cover back on the bleeder screw on this side, and I'm going to spray it down. Now that I've bled my brakes and I'm complete back there, everything's closed up and cleaned, come up to the master, and I'm going to take the brake cap off. See the rubber diaphragm that got sucked down from the vacuum of the pumping? I'll just put that back in, and then I'm going to top my fluid off to the max line with .3 brake fluid that's recommended. Cover's nice and clean, and I'm going to reinstall it, lock it down. Now I'm going to get ready and put the tires back on. So you have the access window with a rubber boot on it to keep the water out. It's located right under the differential tube. You see the round cutout. I take a pair of pliers because it has a lip to it, and I'm gonna just hold on to it while I pull it out. You don't want to put it inward because then you have to take the whole, you might have to take the whole rotor off. Try a small screwdriver. Just gotta make sure you put pressure on it. Make sure it doesn't fall in. So with that out, I set that aside. And the adjuster is, you can see it, it's like right here if you look down inside. Now you're going to take a angled spindle and you're going to see which way it goes to adjust. It feels like it's going to go upward. So I'm grabbing it and spinning it up. At the same time, I'm going to rotate my tire. I want to feel the brake, e-brake grab. You'll end up feeling or seeing which way it goes. You'll be able to tell. The key is to spin the tire, and you'll hear the brake shoes start to hit the rotor. Now you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So now with both e-brakes adjusted to my liking, what you're going to do is you're going to go inside, apply your parking brake, push down on that pedal. If it goes all the way to the floor, then you're going to come back, obviously release the pedal, come back and keep adjusting these until your e-brake pedal is midway or a couple clicks down. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. So now it's safe to put the rubber protected boots back in. I like to put the cup side out so I have something to grab every time I remove it or install it. This thing is kind of tricky. It's got the lip for the plate to sit in. Don't get too Brutus with it. Sorry, Brutus, if you're out there. And you see the lip, how it sits in the tin. See the groove of the rubber? Just set it up there. Perfect. Now it's ready to torque our wheels down. 21mm socket, and the torque specs on this F-150 is 150 foot-pounds per lug nut. Don't forget to do it in the star pattern. Do it to all wheels that you've removed.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.